That real shit, that real shit, that real shit, that real shit, that real
yes,
shit,
that real shit,
that real shit, that real shit, that real shit, that real shit, that real shit, sports talk. That real shit, that real shit, that real shit, that real shit, that real
yes,
shit,
that real shit,
that real shit, that real shit,
that real shit,
that real shit, that real shit, sports talk.
What up, y'all? Coach Smith, aka Mr. Get You Right up in this motherfucker, man. I want to welcome everybody to the 18th episode of That Real Shit Sports Talk. Coming to you live from San Diego, California, baby. Today's Wednesday, November 6th, 2019. And I appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, please hit that like button for your boy. And if you haven't yet, go ahead, subscribe to the channel for me. I really appreciate that shit. Got a few new subscribers last week, so big shout out to y'all. I really do appreciate your viewership, and I really do appreciate you fucking with me, man. Let's get into today's episode. So I want to do something a little different today. I want to share a little personal story with y'all. I was telling this story to one of my homeboys a couple weeks ago, and just the looks on his face told me that more people need to hear this story. So let's get into it. Today I want to talk to y'all about my official visit to the University of Oregon and just the whole recruiting trip process. I think like a lot of other dudes that were getting recruited out of Cali, and I mean anywhere for a matter of fact, a lot of dudes wanted to go to Oregon when I was getting recruited. And I think that still is the same today. They got the flyest jerseys, they got the flyest uniforms, they got all the new gear, all the new cleats, all the new gloves, all the new visors. So motherfuckers want to go there just because of that. And you know what I mean? As of the past decade, they've been super successful. Been to a national title game, yada, yada, yada. I got recruited for the season of 2003, out of high school in 2003. But I took my official visit to Oregon in the winter of 2002. So while getting recruited, Oregon was definitely my number one school. Definitely. That's the school I wanted to go to. Achilles Smith is my second cousin. We're not related by the Smith last name. We're related on my mom's side of the family. But if you know who Achilles Smith is, that's my second cousin. He's an Oregon legend. And again, everybody wanted to go to Oregon. The uniforms was killing. So that's where I wanted to go. That's where I thought I wanted to go. Took my very first recruiting trip there. I hadn't taken any college recruiting trips yet. I had took an unofficial, but I hadn't taken any official visits yet. Oregon was my first trip. Generally, most of the recruits come up to the school on the Friday of that weekend. But, you know, I went to Helix. We were playing in the playoffs at the time. So I wasn't able to get up there until Saturday. So all the recruits were already there by the time I got there. But I'm going to tell y'all this. 6:30 a.m., get a ring at the door. It's the limo driver. Excuse me. In the driveway, stretch limo, black, shiny, chromey. You know what I'm saying? Stretch limo. Limo driver grabbed my bags, asked me, am I ready to go? We got up out of there. Kissed mama goodbye. Told Pops I'll see him later. Get into the limo. We got up out of there. We're on our way to the airport. I know my way to the airport. And we were kind of already on that track to, you know, go to the main terminals and things like that. Before we got to the main terminals, we veer off to this little road that I had never really ever been to before. I had seen it from another freeway, but I had never driven on it. So we dip off onto this back road, and the limo driver, he pulls up, opens the gate, and we pull up right to the runway. Right to the runway is a private jet. Little small jet. I mean, small jet might be an oxymoron, but private jet, no security, no bag checks, no metal detectors, none of that shit. I hop out the limo, he grabbed my bags, I hopped right onto the private jet, met the pilot, met the flight attendant that they had. We left San Diego. I had a private jet to myself from San Diego to Northern California. There was another, I forgot his name. I really forgot his name. I want to say Okinwa was his last name, but that don't even matter. We picked up another dude from Northern California who also played in a playoff game Friday night. So it was just me and him in this private jet. You know what I'm saying? I had half the ride to myself. Once we picked him up, we both flew in to Eugene together, had breakfast on the plane. Flight attendant served us whatever we wanted, pancakes, waffles, cereal, yada, yada, yada. That day, Oregon was playing the Washington Huskies, ironically. So we flew in, I think, if I remember correctly, we flew in at about 11:30. 11:30. The game kickoff was at 12:30 that day. So it was an early afternoon kickoff. We got there about an hour before the game started. As soon as we touched down, they took us right to the hotel, hopped off the runway, hopped into a rental car with one of the people from the recruiting office. They took us straight to the hotel, dropped off all our bags and stuff. We got our own little suites, which was cracking. Dropped our stuff off at the hotel, and then they took us to the football facilities. Like I said, by this time, we were probably half an hour from kickoff. So the stadium was packed. The whole area was packed. Getting into Austin Stadium was nuts that day. But they take us in. They drive us right up to the football facilities. We walk through the parking lot. Fans are cheering, going crazy. They don't even know who we are, but they're cheering for us. So the football people walk us into the football locker room. And at this point, all I remember is early outs had gone out already. So, you know, it was linemen and linebackers for the most part in the locker room. But I'm looking at this locker room like, fuck. This locker room is off the fucking chain, homie. It was big. It was state of the art. It was bright. It was Nike. That's all I remember. The locker room was the shit. Let's fast forward a little bit. Kickoff finally came, right? Washington beat their ass. I think Washington won 42-14, if I'm not mistaken. Reggie Williams balled out that game. That was one of the games I think that got Reggie drafted, because I just remember number one from Washington going off that game. He went off like a motherfucker. Him and Cody Pickett was balling that game. So I'm on my recruiting trip to Oregon, and they lose to the Washington Huskies, who I ended up committing to in the first place, which is funny. Game's over. Everybody's, melancholy, whatever. Everybody's down a little bit. But at that point is when they finally introduced me to my recruiting host, who was Sammy Parker. If you know anything about Oregon football, you know who Sammy Parker is. After the game, they took us to dinner. Big ass feast, homie. I don't even know what the name of the restaurant was, but they had a buffet line and they let us order off the menu. So, dog, we ate more than enough. And when we left, they were like, order yourself something for the room. So, you know what I mean? I ordered a filet mignon, mashed potatoes, and broccoli for the room. A $60 steak, took it back to the room. So I remember that shit vividly. But at dinner, we met all the coaches, all the staff, all the academic staff, boosters, all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Did all the handshakes, all the fake smiles. Most of y'all know how that shit goes. But after dinner, my recruiting coach, Sammy Parker, he was like, y'all go back to the room, get fresh. We about to take y'all out. So, we go back to the room, shower up, get fresh, change clothes. They come scoop us. My roommate, not my roommate, but the dude who I came up to Oregon with, he was across the room. His recruiting host was Ontario Smith. So we got Sammy Parker and Ontario Smith as our recruiting host. Now, like I said, the other recruits were there already. They had got there the night before, but we hadn't touched down yet, so we hadn't got into no shit yet. Sammy Parker hit me, was like, let's get out, walk downstairs. They pull up in the Benz, fucking, I don't even remember what year it was, but Sammy Parker had a Benz. They took us straight to the club. I was 17 at the time. I had not turned 18 yet, and they had us up in the club. They weren't serving alcohol in that club, but they had alcohol for us prior to going into the club. I was a square bear in high school. I didn't drink nothing, smoke nothing. So I declined all the alcohol that they was offering us. but I was in there gigging like a motherfucker because that party was cracking that they took us to. That club that they took us to was cracking. It was females. It was cracking ass music. It was a cracking ass time. That's all I remember. The night ends. The club ends. I can't find my recruiting host, my ride. He had dipped out for a sec. He told me he was gonna be back, but he wasn't back by the time the club got out. So me and my recruit, not the dude I came with, my recruiting partner, that's what we'll call him. We're posted up outside. Sammy pull up. He got 2 girls with him. He got 2 snow bunnies with him. They hop out. They knew who we were, which is comedy to me. Again, he must have gave them the scoop on us before they even got there, because the snow bunnies hopped out the car, came up right to us. One is fine, one ain't. So I'm already politicking like, damn, I want that one. They're like, you guys ready to go? We like, where we going? They're like, oh, they're like, we figured we'll go back to your guys' room. So we did, you know what I'm saying? We went back to the room. We hopped in Sammy's whip, went back to the hotel room. Dog, it was nothing said, no questions asked, no interactions, no hi, nice to meet yous. We got back to the room. Them bitches turned off the lights, unzipped our pants, and gave up some Scully Dolly, homie. Some of the best Scully Dolly I've had in my life, boy. Real shit. And the fucked up part is, looking back, I don't know if these girls were prostitutes or if they were just on-campus runners that all the football niggas that ran through already, that they knew would be with the business. But them bitches knew why they was there. They knew exactly why they was there. You know what I mean? I excuse my language, but I got my nut, and she left. You know what I mean? Like I said, it wasn't no handshakes, it wasn't no hugs, it wasn't no explanations, it wasn't no comforting afterwards. They came, did what they needed to do, and got up out of there. All I got was some head. I could hear my recruiting partner next door beating cheeks, homie. I didn't beat cheeks on my mama. I didn't beat cheeks. I just got some Scully, homie. But they had bitches ready for us, which highlighted the trip, if you ask me. So let's move on to the next day. Sunday comes. We wake up for another big ass breakfast. Meet everybody. We meet all the academic staff. They take us to the classrooms, you know, where most of our classes are gonna be. They give us the big on-campus tour. All the shit, normal shit you do on a recruiting trip. And honestly, that was the boring shit. That was the worst part to me, was the campus tours. I didn't really care for all that. That's not why I was there. But before the recruiting weekend wraps up, they bring every single recruit individually up into the head coach's office. So we had just got done eating dinner, our second dinner of Sunday night, because they gave us another dinner on the plane ride back. But our first dinner, after our first dinner, one of the coaches comes and grabs me. He's like, yeah, Coach Bellotti wants to see you. Mike Bellotti was the head coach at Oregon at the time. So he was like, yeah, Coach Bellotti wants to see you. So he walks me up to Coach Bellotti's big ass fucking $1 million office. I walk in, there's a mannequin with the black and green Oregon jersey sitting on his desk with the number 2. I wore the number 2 in high school, so the mannequin jersey got number 2, C. Smith on the back. And my jaw damn near dropped. I'm like, oh shit, this finna be me in a few years, boy. Shit was fresh than a motherfucker. Coach Bellotti sat me down. He was like, how was your trip? I was like, great. He was like, can you see yourself playing here? I was like, definitely. He was like, well, if that's the case, we're gonna need you to commit right now. He was like, if you love the University of Oregon that much, you'll commit to us right now, and you won't take any more of your recruiting trips. Now, they knew damn well I had recruiting trips planned to Washington, Arizona, and San Diego State in consecutive weeks. I took my trip to Oregon first. They knew what trips I was taking when I was taking those trips. and he lays it on thick. Like, if you want to be a Duck, we need you to commit right now. And I was like, oh, coach, I can't do that. I took my trip without my parents. So I think they saw that as an opportunity to lay it on real heavy and really pressure me into something that I wasn't ready to do. Looking back, maybe I should have committed, because that's still, at the time, that would have been the best school to go to. But to me, it just wasn't fair that he didn't want me to take the rest of my recruiting trips. He knew I was going to Washington the following week. And like I said, Washington had just beat that ass. So I think they all had felt some type of way towards Washington just because they took an L that weekend. In addition to the Husky-Duck rivalry, which I really didn't know nothing about at the time. He wanted me to commit on the spot. I didn't. He was like, well, that's fine. If you're not willing to commit now, we're going to take your scholarship. It's been a pleasure hosting you and recruiting you, but if you're not willing to commit today, we don't see you as someone who takes our program serious. So we're going to take your scholarship off the table and offer it to someone else. And my heart dropped. I had the frog in my throat, like I was hurt. I was shook. I was hurt. And that was my first glimpse of the business side of this shit. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't no more love after that. They wanted you to make a business decision on the spot. Like I said, I'm 17 years old, and I still had plans on taking all these other trips. So I wasn't ready to commit. Even though Oregon was my number one school, I wasn't ready to commit to them because I wanted to see everybody else too. And they were like, nah, if you want us, you better take us now or we're gone forever. And I walked up out of that office and never heard from the University of Oregon again. They sent me back on the private jet, and I didn't get no more letters, no more phone calls, no more nothing. And like I said, I took my trip to the University of Washington the following week. Then I went to the University of Arizona, and then I took an official to San Diego State. So I still took all four of my visits. Washington didn't tell me I couldn't go to Arizona. Arizona didn't tell me I couldn't go to San Diego State. You know what I mean? So I didn't really get none of that negative energy from the other schools. I read something not too long ago that said on a yearly average, Oregon offers up to 300 plus kids each year, whereas Washington offers about 90 something kids a year. And it's that I got a firsthand glimpse of that. They wanted me, but they wanted me under their terms. I wasn't good enough to them to decide when I wanted to. They wanted me to make a decision on their terms, on their time clock, and that was something I wasn't willing to do. So they took my scholarship, and I ended up at Washington. So I'm gonna wrap up this episode on that, but I just want to finish by saying, man, college recruiting, college athletics, when it comes to football and basketball, is cutthroat. You know what I mean? They'll smile in your face when they're recruiting you, but once they get you on campus for that recruiting trip, things might change. And they want to see how committed you really are to them. And for my situation, I wasn't as committed to the University of Oregon as I thought I was. I thought they were my number one school, but when they laid pressure on me, when they put pressure on me, I wasn't ready to make a decision. And I ended up at the University of Washington. So all my young boys out there that's getting recruited, man, don't let them coaches pressure you into nothing. Make the decision that's best for you, homie. Don't let them pressure you. And if it don't work out, it don't work out. It just wasn't meant to be. Real shit. I'm gonna end it on that note though, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Like I said, hit that like button for me. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't yet. And if you're watching this on Facebook, go ahead, share the link so motherfuckers you fuck with could fuck with me too. Thank y'all for watching. That Real Shit Sports Talk.